Hello, welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer, and in the video today I'm going to be showing you a build sent in by a viewer from the commenter called Inno Sang. For our race we need to be a Tiefling, Zariel Tiefling in particular. Our class needs to be Fighter. Abilities they didn't specify, but I'm assuming Strength is 16, I'm going to put 14 for Dexterity and Constitution. Just a quick tip here, while you are on the Nautiloid, make sure you loot every single Mind Flayer body, because some of them have potions of haste and void bulbs that you definitely want to be collecting. Make sure you pick up the Everburn Blade. At level 2 we have no choice for fighters, but we get action surge, which is very important actually. At level 3 you want to be picking Battle Master, and definitely menacing attack plus whatever you want to use for the other two. And also the reason we picked a Zariel Tiefling is because we have the strength modifier and we get the Searing Smite spell. And at the final level up, level 4, you want to be taking Great Weapon Master. The reason for this is to get the bonus action attack on a critical hit or a kill, and the opportunity to do plus 10 damage. The main way to guarantee some very high damage is to hit a sleeping target, a held target, or hitting a target where a Druid has world shaped into wolf form and used Exposing Bite. So we're going to use Legacy of Avernus, Searing Smite, and make sure we've got Great Weapon Master all in chosen. So because they were sleeping, we had a guaranteed critical hit, and we got a plus 10 damage to that as well. So I do just want to point out the Great Weapon Master all-in damage, the plus 10 does not get doubled. And then we got to roll 2d4 from the 1d4 from the Everburning Blade, and then an extra 4d6 because of Searing Smite. Now the person who told me about this build said we should try and use Hold Person. I'm going to say they said just use Hold Person. Downside it. Okay, Korga was not the best person to try that on because only a 35% chance to work, but they get to make 2 saving throws before we have a chance to even use it, because currently, whether this is intended or not, enemies get to make saving throws against most spells at the beginning of their turn as well as when the spell is cast, which is not how it is in the tabletop edition. One of the problems with what the person wrote, not so much with the build, is that they assumed that every attack was going to hit. Like, we can guarantee critical hits, it's easy when they're asleep or when they're held. But it's not actually that easy to get enemies held or sleeping. And when they're sleeping, we don't actually need to do huge amounts of damage. But let's try this anyway. Can I hide? I can't hide. And with Great Weapon Master, there's only a 58% chance to hit. Let's try and have 2 attacks, shall we? I hit! That was great. Right, I'm actually happy with that. Unfortunately, on the turn we use the haste potion, if you use it in combat. If we hit or if we get a critical hit or kill, we can't use our extra bonus attack because we've already used a bonus action. However, one thing they did say is we can use menacing attack, and then we killed them. If they run away, we get an extra attack, but there's no way to guarantee a critical hit on an opportunity attack though. So I've got a situation where I can try and use Hold Person, and it fails. It's 2 out of 2 fails so far, which is a bit sad. So I'm going to try and sleep them instead. So I'm going to be able to do loads of damage to me now. I'll kill them in 1 hit, but this Legacy of Avernus, Searing Smite, is only once per long rest, so I won't be able to use that again. And to make sure I get there, I'm going to have to use a dash action. And then let's use Menacing Attack again. And that was 38 damage, which is decent, very good, but that did take a spell slot. And a superiority dice I don't really mind using up because they come back on a short rest. One good thing about being the fighter though, with the haste potion, we get action surge. Try and hit Aaron here, although I've got Great Weapon Master all in on. So they got a 55% chance to hit. Now I'll keep using menacing attack because the person who wrote this had the idea of using reactions to get an opportunity attack, which is a good idea. Back here in Draw Ragslin's private little treasure room. The Circlet of Fire. When you deal fire damage with a non-cantrip spell, gain a bonus action. The commenter wasn't sure if this works in combination with Searing Smite, and I'll show you how it works in a second. The fighter has the Circlet of Fire equipped, and now I'm going to try and use Searing Smite. And we'll notice that we do actually get, although now it's disappeared, 2 bonus attacks. This time I'm going to show you it working with Hold Person. This works especially well because Shadowheart, Astarion, and Tav the Fighter all share the same initiative, so I can set up Hold Person on the same turn, so they only have to fail 1 Wisdom saving throw. Now before we do that, I'm going to get Astarion. We get Astarion to throw a Potion of Haste at our fighter here, because this is what was intended for the fighter. Also, now I've made a bit of a mistake. I haven't used the Potion of Hill Giant Strength yet, but this adds to the damage, but uses up a bonus action. However, with Searing Smite, and I forgot to do something. I forgot to turn on Great Weapon Master there, but I did more than enough damage. So 24 slashing damage, 3 fire damage, an extra 18 there, and that killed the person, which gives me another bonus action because I used a leveled spell that dealt fire damage. Now this person was, the commenter did talk about how there's a minimum of 118 guaranteed damage, but now I don't have any more guaranteed damage on this turn because I've killed the target, which obviously killing the target is amazing. Now, unfortunately over here, Gekko has got mirror image up, so the chance to hit him is stupidly small. I've got a bonus attack. I've still got a normal attack. And I've still got Action Surge. And this is where a lot of the damage was coming from, all these attacks, which is a good idea. I've again chosen a bad target here, but I'm using this in real situations. I'm not picking and choosing these fights in particular, apart from the fact I'm doing this fight to try and get an extra item. I'll try one more time, you never know. There we are. So a lot of damage there. I did have Great Weapon Master turned on this time. I'm going to turn it off just to increase the chance. So when it's Cole's turn, I'll get an extra attack in there. A lot of this damage is really just coming from the fact that it's a Great Weapon Master with Everburn Blade. It's not to do with the fact that they've used Searing Smite. And they can't use Searing Smite anymore in this fight because it's a once in a long rest thing. We have 2 attacks, and since this is a guaranteed critical hit with Great Weapon Master, we'll get a bonus attack, which, because I've got the Potion of Haste, the Potion of Speed, I am actually able to make it down to here to attack Lurgan. So we can get 2 more attacks. But again, this is just to do with the fact we've got a fighter using Great Weapon Master, or anyone using Great Weapon Master. Now, this extra magic item I was talking about, to get it, you need to help out Glut by killing Spore. So I'll go ahead and do that. So once you've cleared out the Myconid colony, and Glut is now the Sovereign, you get to pick one of 2 items. Either the Featherlight Boots, which we're not going to pick. We're going to pick the Ring of Fire. When dealing fire damage, the wearer deals an additional 1 fire damage. It's not much, but it adds up. The last item we're going to get is for saving poor old Balin from the Bibberbang field. Throw the backpack towards Balin. He'll be happy. And we get to choose one of 2 things. So we can get the Gloves of Fire Resistance, no thank you, especially not for a Tiefling, because they've already got that. Or Gloves of Flint and Steel. When dealing fire damage, it doesn't have to be from a leveled spell. The target has to make a DC 8 Constitution saving throw or take a bit more damage. Right. So now we've got the Circlet of Fire, the Gloves of Flint and Steel. I've got the Broodmother's Revenge from Korga, but that hasn't really come up. The Ring of Fire and the Everburn Blades. We're focusing on fire damage. And as a Zariel Tiefling, we do also have, as I've said already, Searing Smite. So this is everything we can pretty much do for our build. Now we're going to go put it to the test. So here I am at the Githyanki Patrol. Lae'zel's here. I didn't actually save her. I skipped over in this run. And before we go running in, I will be taking a Potion of Hill Giant Strength. I don't want to take a Potion of Haste too early, in case everything goes wrong. My fighter doesn't get to go first. I can try and use Hold Person, but this is one of the major problems, is I don't know if this is still going to be working by the time it gets to Tav's turn. But I've got to try anyway. Haste Spore Flask. This is a bit risky because the enemies can be walking into this flask as well. And they probably will be, so I'll put it as close to me as possible. Because I want to get my fighter hasted. Give the fighter as great a chance as possible to have a go. I'm going to put Astarion out front, even though that's not really where he wants to be. And unfortunately, at the beginning of the turn, South Breather passed a wisdom saving throw, so I'm not going to be able to get the critical hits in. So once again, I do just want to point out that the person who sent this in did say just cast hold person. It's easy, or make them sleep. So the best I'm going to be able to do, I think, it won't be bad, but the best I can do, it looks like, is hide here. So now I've got an 80% chance to hit. I'll try this. Since it hit, we did a tiny bit of extra damage because of the ring. So we're going to keep going. Menacing attack. That's good. Action surge. That's good. And since I've got Great Weapon Master, I can have an extra Great Weapon attack. Oh, extra attack. This is far from the guaranteed minimum 112 or 114 damage or whatever it was that this person was guaranteeing, because there is no way that we're going to be able to get all of our hits a guaranteed critical hit. The only thing I could have done, and I might do next turn, is use the Wyvern Poison. So we've got Shadowheart here, who's going to try and use Hold Person also. So 60%, 55%, well, try it, and that worked, which is good. And since she went in the haste spores, I'm going to try and hit the Githyanki Gish to give advantage if this hits. Gale will also try and use another level 2 spell slot against, let's just say this one. That's a fail. Try one more time. Actually, maybe against the one with the higher chance. Another fail. I'm going to point out once again, we cannot just use Hold Person. Once again, South Breath will break free of Hold Person before I had a chance to use it. And so now let's use the Wyvern Poison. Don't have haste anymore unless I walk away and come back, but I'm getting low on hit points. Try and use Menacing Attack. And okay, if I had a potion of haste, potion of speed going, I could still have another attack, but then I can't do my 114 damage. So while it's nice to think about these maximum damages and theory crafting, and it's not such a bad idea, this build. But it's only a tiny bit better than having any Great Weapon Master Battle Master build. It's just got one extra ability on top, being Searing Smite, which we can make a bit better with the items. Right? So it's probably better than your average Battle Master build, but we've got the practicalities of fights to put up with. This is never ever going to be doing anywhere near the maximum 500 damage that this person has theorized. Overall, yeah, like I said, I think it's a fairly decent build, but we always have to be careful when... Oh, that was nice, 3 5s. Always have to be careful when coming up with builds that we do take into account how fights really go and how difficult it can be to get this damage applied. So I'm probably going to lose this fight now, because they have been using the haste spores, which, fair play to them. So would I recommend this build? Yeah, I would. It's not so bad, but is it as strong as it was theorized to be? No. For 1 round, every long rest, yes, we can do a decent amount of damage with a haste potion and a potion of Hill Giant Strength, and using Action Surge with Searing Smite. It may be possible to burst down an enemy, but we cannot rely on Hold Person. We cannot rely on them being asleep, and if they're asleep, then they're not much of a problem anyway. So I'm sorry if I've sounded a little bit negative about this build. It's just trying to come out with a warning that it isn't always as it seems when we're coming up with a build. Battles are going to get in the way. Enemies are going to do stuff. They're going to resist spells. They're going to try and kill us. We're not going to be in the right turn order. But at the end of the day, it's a decent build, good build. It's just not quite as great as the person who came up with it kind of made it seem like. And no offense to this person, I'm thanking them actually for this build. Thank you for this idea. Thank you for putting the hard work in to try and put this all together. Don't let me stop you from doing that in the future. But we do have to think about the practicalities of our fights. So do let me know what you think about this build, whether there's something I missed in trying to show this off. If you made it this far, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.